is when you know your character and you stay true to who you are. There's nothing more satisfying, more liberating, more genuine, and more true to yourself than exactly that. I mean, if you lack having the character and sticking to your character, the world has no problem telling you who you are. But are you going to let the world tell you who you are, is the question. Because I wouldn't. And I sure hope that you wouldn't either. You're going to have men who try to tell you who you are, what is acceptable and not acceptable. You're going to have colleagues in the workplace try and tell you who you are. Understanding that you're not an energetic match for everybody is an honor to yourself. And stick with that. Yes, it requires bravery. And I think that my blind faith has helped me a lot in all of that. Me not being afraid to put myself out there and go out on a whim. I mean, yes, it hasn't always landed me in the best position, but I'm still alive and I'm okay. And I'm grateful for that every day. And the lessons that I learned within those experiences are invaluable. Like, they're priceless. Learning to embrace the beauty that's all around you and take every downfall with a grain of salt when I was doing door-to-door vacuum sales. I'm so grateful for the trainers that I had at that time, because they genuinely gave me much more. Like, what I learned within that field was one thing, but what I learned in that environment has carried me throughout life and has given me perspective that I wouldn't otherwise have. So knowing your character allows you to embrace the confidence that you have at the fullest. And if you want to check out my character building framework, it is in my group that I have on Facebook. It is the WI Files and Assessments, and you can pick it up there. So a couple things that I noticed when you start to drift away from your character. Like, personality is, what one was it? I think it's your character is harder to change than your personality. You can change your personality, but your personality will always fall if you're not in alignment to who you are. Knowing that personality can be a mask, I've always built my personality around my character. So around my beliefs, my morals, my principles. And I didn't all have it figured out in the beginning either. I started it with a belief in God. That's all I had. That's what I stood on. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know who I was. I was 13 when I left home. So that one belief, though, and having your moral compass. So knowing when and when not to be in a certain place at a certain time. That's all intuition. But also being respectful. So, I mean, it depends on the outlook that you go out in. A genuine heart will pull you through the hardest of times. And if you have a hard time showing up for yourself in a genuine way, maybe focus on that part first. What has broken you down to the point where you have shut off your heart chakra? Doing things that are out of alignment of who you are in your character it creates this tension inside the body. it's like a resistance. It makes your brain feel foggy, and you almost feel very confused. Okay. So I've only went through that once, and that was enough for me never to do it again. Yeah. It was not something I enjoyed. When your brain starts to feel like, when you're in tune with your body tells you when things are off. Follow that. If your brain feels cloudy, if you feel confused, if you feel like you were certain about something, but now you're, for instance, putting something down. You've just had it in your hand, you put something down, and you don't know where it is. That's a clear indicator that something is not on the right track. Your brain needs to be able to focus and be calm. You know, a lot of times people mistake authenticity with being fake because they don't know how to tell the truth from an illusion. Let that be a clear indicator of someone not knowing how to trust themselves. But that's not something to be mad at them for. When someone doesn't know how to trust themselves, it's usually because they denied themselves from a young age. And that's where the abandonment of self, if you go onto my YouTube channel, there I have a whole playlist on the abandonment of self, and I explain why authenticity isn't gonna propel you in everyday work environments or even with friendships, because people don't like authenticity, and it's not that it's their fault, it's just I feel in the bottoms of their hearts they're a little bit envious because they want that, but they've never given it to themselves. And that's okay. The more you trust yourself, the more you choose yourself and honor what you're feeling in a humble way, the easier it will become. So before you accuse or think of anything of anybody else, a skill that, or a strategy that I use is I'll look at myself and act as if I'm reflecting this quality back at myself to make sure that I'm not that myself. Or I don't project any of those behaviors myself. Because before you judge anybody, you better take a good damn look in the mirror. That's something I always told myself from a young age as well. To keep myself in line. But my environment is not your environment. A part of that was survival for me. It doesn't have to be that way though. It honestly is a pretty good strategy to use just to keep yourself in line. So you're not being egotistical, you know? Look, I can have a bow. Okay, anyway. I think this concludes today's live, and I love you all very much. Peace and love. Bye.